Welcome back. In this demonstration, we are going to start to learn about anime portraits. Okay, this is an example of a 3/4 view anime portrait, kind of showing how we're going to start our painting in the background. But first, before we get started with that, we're going to make sure that we know about how to put the portrait together. So 3 things I want you to be thinking about while we do this. Line. Line is the path of a point through space. It could be horizontal, vertical, zigzag, diagonal, or curvy. In this picture you see lots of different lines, smaller lines, bigger lines, curved lines. You see a huge variety of lines, and you're going to have to pay attention to the size and style of the line that you're using. Now, shape. The enclosed space made when a line ends where it starts. So let's say you start here and you go around in a circle and you end there. This is your shape inside there, right? And in this picture, you'll see lots of different shapes, such as the eyes, the ears, the eyebrows, even the hair pieces are lines that end up creating shapes, okay? We also have to pay attention to those shapes on the inside here that are left over, those negative spaces. Now, the last thing that we need to think about is proportion, and this is really what this video is all about. How one thing relates to another. Could be the size of something, the place of something, the shape of something, or the space around something. And you have to make sure that all those things are correctly placed and correctly sized so the proportions look right. So you know how big the eyes are compared to how big the mouth is, the space in between the eyes here, how big that is compared to an eye, and you know how big the hair is compared to the forehead, compared to the neck. All those little pieces have to come together. So to get started, here's just a kind of basic what we're doing. We're going to put in a circle, we're going to divide it vertically and horizontally, and then divide the bottom part into fourths, and then we'll start the actual portrait. That part is the proportions. And if I take it down one more level, we'll label everything so that we get things in the correct place. Now, I've started with a size of paper that is 11 inches by 15 inches. You can start with whatever paper you want, obviously, and for those students who are doing this at home, I expect that you're making a practice copy at home so that when you come to class, you've practiced once and I can guide you through making artistic choices while you're here. So get started by putting your name down. My name's Mr. Lundgren, so I'm going to put that down. All right, then put your group number, your grade number, and your section. Let's pretend this is 5A. Okay, or write down your teacher, either way. Then flip your paper over, and on your paper you want to start with a circle. All right, to make a perfect circle you'll use a compass. Make sure that the point is aligned with the pencil, and then I'm telling you ahead of time that you'll be dividing the bottom of your circle into fourths. Let's pick something that is going to divide evenly. So I'm teaching this lesson in Vietnam where we use the metric system. Oops. So let's pick something that's going to work out in metric. I'm going to make my circle 8 centimeters radius. So that's like the half is going to be 8. So the whole thing will be 16, and that should divide nicely into fourths. When you start, pick out where you're going to be, having your center. I'm just going to put my center right here, and I'm going to put a little mark there so I can refer to it in the video. Then take your middle point, stick it into there, and then hold your compass on a diagonal, not straight up and down, but kind of on a diagonal, and spin it around to get a nice even circle. All right. Once you have your circle, you can set your compass down, and we'll use it later in a minute. Then take your ruler and you want to make a vertical line. So vertical meaning that this line here is going to be parallel with the edge of our paper, okay? Now, while you are drawing, I would like you to make sure that you make your lines very light so that they're easy to erase later. I'm going to make my lines fairly dark so that you can see them, okay? But I'd like you to make yours lightly. Now I'm going to take this ruler and make a horizontal line, meaning this line here is going to be parallel with the top of my paper, or if you want to think of another math word, it's perpendicular to the side here. Okay, I'm going to draw that so it goes right through the center. So you can see how the crosshairs go right through the center of my circle that I've drawn. Now you're going to take your ruler and you're going to divide this bottom portion in half. So since we made it 8, obviously half of 8 is 4 centimeters. There's my halfway mark. I'm going to use my ruler here again and make a nice parallel line and just kind of barely overlap the center, or sorry, the circle. Now you're going to take these two spaces, the top space and the bottom space, and again divide them in half. Notice I line my line up with the 0. I make sure I'm down here on the 4. Put a little tick mark there at 2. And draw that parallel horizontal line. Okay? And follow the same procedure up here on the top portion. Now, if you don't think ahead and use your compass to divide something up evenly, you can still do it. It's just a little bit more math work. All right, now there is our circle. We've set up our proportions for the bottom and the top, so we know how big the top of the head is going to be, where the eyes will fall, and how everything else should be placed. Now, this center line is going to be our chin, all right, because we're doing a front-on version this time. So the chin should be this distance from the center, or this halfway mark, down to the bottom area, which was 4 inches. It should be 4 inches again, or 4 centimeters. So we're going to take this 0 and we're going to make a little tick mark right there for where our chin should be. Then you're going to take you're going to want to make this angle so that you're starting on this third line. If I number these 1, 2, 3, 4, we're starting on line number 2. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of angle. I want my jaw to be about here, a little bit lower than the circle. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of gently curve a line. It's not perfectly straight, notice. It's just a little gentle curve, and I want my jaw to be about the same height on the other side. So I'm going to take from here, from the line number 2, a gently curved line like that. Remember, making your lines lightly so that you can erase them easier later. Okay, now I'm going to aim for this centerpiece and I'm going to curve a line down like this and curve a line down like that. Okay, so that sets in our basic proportions. In the next video, we'll talk about the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and hopefully all the rest of it if I can fit it all into one video. But this, again, is laying out those basic proportions, how one thing is going to relate to another in the placement of our eyes, our nose, our mouth, and all of those other pieces.